Welcome to The Other Discovery Show, the podcast that's not about podcasts. It's about all the other things that we've discovered throughout the week. I'm Kirk.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Josh. Welcome back.
Wait, who?
I'm saying welcome back to me.
From the heavens.
I'm back.
Josh is back for one episode only for my birthday. I am so excited. Josh, I missed you so much.
I missed you guys too. So, yeah, I'm back. And since I'm back, I think we got to pick up where we left off. We got to explore our bodies together, boys.
Oh, man.
And
I take back everything I said.
This is a very special
It's too
episode.
late.
Today, we're going to explore our butts together.
Oh, man. It's a very special episode, apparently.
I mean, there's so many things to say about the butt. So many things to say. And I found
a lot of things.
I found this wonderful article from Healthline that's got so many good facts about the butt. And I'm going to just go through a couple of the highlights here. So it's obviously the largest, most powerful muscle. Everyone knows that.
Yeah, the butt muscle.
Also known as the gluteus maximus, which is probably the coolest muscle name there is.
It sounds like a Spartan gladiator.
It
Sounds
does.
like a Roman emperor.
My name is Gluteus Maximus, and I will kill you in this gladiator arena.
Let me see. So, did you guys know that the popular dance move, quote, twerking,
Quote twerking.
doesn't involve your glutes? It's all hips. There's a PhD and well-known glute guy.
I love how you can't even say the
Wait,
things
okay.
without giggling.
Wait, just restart that. A PhD in glutes? Is that what you just said?
He's a glutologist.
I'm going to read it. I'm going to read it word for word. Brett Contreras, PhD, well-known glute guy on Instagram,
Glute guy.
took twerking to science and discovered that none of your glutes are involved at all. It's all the pelvis.
I would love to see how much grant money he got for this.
Your glutes
Honestly,
are just
as
there
far
for
as-
the ride
as-
and glory.
As far as grant allocation goes, I can get behind it. That's pretty good.
Twerking has been around since the 1980s. It went mainstream in 2013 thanks to pop singer Miley Cyrus and became a fitness craze.
Yeah, I mean,
You can take
Yeah.
twerking classes.
everybody's like, you know what? CrossFit is stupid. I'm gonna start twerking.
Twerk fit.
Yeah. Women have bigger butts than men because of their hormones. Science says there is an ideal attractive butt curve.
Oh, there's
45.5
a ratio
degrees
for it?
is the ideal curve of a woman's booty.
Could you repeat that curve number?
45.5 degrees is the ideal curvature of a woman's booty.
That's the sciences for you right there. It's like, you're like, that's a booty right there. And then 45.5 degrees.
Nah, that one's not doing it for me. It's 46 degrees. That one over there. That one's 45. Oh man, 45.5. Right there. That's the booty for me.
Right in the sweet spot.
Yeah.
Wild.
Gosh.
Apparently, also straight men notice the butt almost last. British survey found that most men notice a woman's eyes, smile, breast, hair, weight, and style before they notice the butt. Only other traits that came after the butt were height and skin.
I mean, I can get that. Unless you're like Buffalo Bob. Skin is not like, skin.
Hey girl, you got some nice skin.
Yeah, that's a sure.
Okay, can I tell you guys a story?
Yeah.
I went to Walgreens the other day, and I was in line. I forget what I was buying. It was like the smallest little thing, and it was like a 3-person line, and the person in front of me had a whole cart full of stuff. And I'm like, you just went grocery shopping at Walgreens. Their bill was like almost $150 at Walgreens. I'm like, what the heck? Anyway, so I'm in line for a long time. And of course, I'm like looking at my phone. I've got one item in my hand. And the lady behind me, she goes, I hate to embarrass you, but she goes, you have the nicest skin I've ever seen. And I'm like, thank you. She's like, no man's neck should ever look like that. It's so good. Because I guess because you're looking at the back of my head.
The back of your head is ridiculous.
I had the best looking neck she'd ever seen.
She's like, I want to make a blanket out of it.
I was like, thank you. I want to go home.
Yeah.
Mommy, I need an adult.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, though. That's why nobody likes skin, because you can't be like, I like that skin. They're like, what do you want to do with my skin, that you weirdo? Get out of here.
So for all y'all out there with a fat booty, fat storage around the butt might be related to intelligence, according to a 2008 study. Women with bigger
Sounds like
hips
it's
and butts
published
on
by somebody
average
with a
perform
big
better on
butt.
tests than those with smaller. There we
How
go.
did they convince anybody to let them do that experiment? All right, take a test. Now let's see your butt.
Also, for all our big booty listeners out there, there might be a correlation to big butts and longer lives. So get that fat booty to live longer.
I feel so uncomfortable now.
You're throwing out so many things that I can't.
Scientists don't know why butt hair exists.
What? What does that mean?
We are exploring so much of this one part of our body.
Isn't it just because we're mammals? Like, we're just covered in hair?
There's extra hair on the booty. It's not just like there's not hair on your forehead.
Speak for yourself, Josh. Okay, you can speak for me too.
There's a lot of plausible theories, such as preventing chafing between the butt cheeks as we walk or run, but there's little to no research. So there we go. Anyone that's looking to do some booty research, go get your grant on why there's butt hair.
Okay, you just talked about somebody did like a research on butt curvature and like butt size and test taking. And you're trying to pitch like butt hair exploration? That is that's a different animal.
Don't yuck on that scientist, yum.
No, I'm not. They're into it. The opportunity's there. But I'm just saying, generally, these are different topics.
Oh, man.
I don't know why we let him do the butt. Like, I don't know why we let him go right back to the butt.
I'm getting to the part
an amazing and horrible place every time he's here.
I'm getting to
this is a place we haven't been in months.
I'm getting to Kirk's favorite part. Farts are a mixture of swallowed air and bacterial byproducts, and most are stink-free.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah, no, Kirk heard that episode of Dexplanations where it means if it smells terrible, it's like, oh, I'm super healthy. And so now every time it's just like, oh, I'm so healthy. And it smells like...
It's a fact. It is science. Science says that if you fart a lot, then your gut biome is healthier than other people who don't fart.
We should not let them do butts. It was a mistake.
This is a bad choice.
One of the largest butts in the world is 8.25 feet around.
What? Is that the one you showed us?
Yeah.
8 feet around.
There'll be a link in the show notes for all of y'all that are interested in big booties.
If it's in the show notes, it's gonna have a not safe for work in there. Like
it wasn't a nude butt that he showed us.
No, but like you can't just be looking at a giant butt at work.
Yeah.
How are you going to explain that? Okay, you're at work. And I mean, first of all, people are working at home now. So maybe not safe for work is not really a thing anymore. Like, not safe for working at home, you're good. We're not going to put that on there. But if you are around other people.
This applies more now than ever because you're at home with your wife.
She's like, why is that giant booty on the screen?
Some turtles.
Like, because that's the world's biggest booty.
Some turtles breathe out their butts.
We're 13 minutes into this episode and you're still talking about butts. It's just like
him talking about butts, just shotgunning facts at me. I was like, what's happening? What does it mean a turtle breathes out of its butt? Like, how does that happen? Do they have lungs in their butt? Like, is that where the air goes in?
The article has links to a lot of the stuff that they have in here. So if you're interested in learning more about any of this, feel free to go to the link. They'll put it in the show notes. There's a little Caribbean mammal with nipples on their butt.
It keeps progressing. I feel like throughout this entire thing, it progresses to
And he
be
doesn't even name
weirder.
the mammal. He's just like, there's this random Caribbean mammal that has nipples.
Spoiler alert, it's a squirrel.
This article is under that fact. It says, while there is yet to be a person with nipples on their butt, it's not improbable. Based on what?
My face hurts right now from laughing too much.
Based on just things can
they
happen.
follow
The
that
universe
with,
is
although
crazy.
rare,
Who knows what's going to happen to
It's
anybody?
never happened before, but that's not saying
It
it
could
can't
happen tomorrow.
yeah, their
to
follow up.
someone.
Yeah, their follow up is, although rare, nipples can grow anywhere.
That's their that. Okay,
I mean, if that's all it takes, it's like, that. Yeah, that's real flexible. Nipples can grow anywhere. It's like they could be on a butt one day. Could be tomorrow.
Yeah.
Could be 1,000 years from now. There's no way to know. Could be tomorrow, though.
There you go, boys. That is. I feel like we've thoroughly explored our butts, and I don't think there's much
we
more
have
to
thoroughly
explore.
explode our butts
I don't want to say that.
together.
But no, now I'm involved already. But yeah, we did explore our bodies together. So
And
yeah,
that was explore your bodies
yeah. No, we're
Josh.
You're welcome, everyone.
And so
Someone needs to make a jingle for that.
because there's literally no way for me to segue from this. Because how do you segue from that? I don't know. That's literally 13 minutes of just butt facts. So I mean, maybe that really just tells us we need to make a podcast called Butt Facts and just explore the research out
Niches.
there.
I mean,
But-
people have been faxing their butts on copiers for a while, so now we've got butt fax.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like a fax with an X, but I'm going to segue by saying, hey, everybody, you know how we're all locked in our houses right now?
Yes, I do. Wait, we're not. But
There's one
go
guy who's trying to reach out to everybody, even throughout the difficulties of the time. His name is Levar Burton.
I love
the man,
Levar Burton.
the myth, the legend, Geordie LaForge, Kunta Kinte, the host of Reading Rainbow, the man, the myth, the legend, has decided that after all of this, where people are locked up by themselves, he's like, I want to read to people. Like, I want Reading Rainbow to be a thing for people, even when they're locked down. I want to read to the kids. I want to read to everybody. I want this to be a thing. And so he was shopping around. He was looking around for different things that he could read to everybody because he has a podcast called Levar Burton Reads.
Yeah.
And it is just.
Have we done that show before?
I don't know if we've ever covered that.
we've
should. We've talked about it for
a
sure.
lot.
But we
did.
should cover it because he's incredible. He's an incredible, like, seriously, huge. Like, I'm a huge fan of just him in general. But he was like, everybody is sitting at home. Their kids are at home. Everybody's kind of like homeschooling and things like this. And it's just a weird time. And he was like, I want to take Levar Burton Reads to like an everyday, like, live stream. I want to just make it something so that people can access it. And he's like, and honestly, there's a great Twitter feed here is how this played out.
I need to know about this because I love that podcast. I love LeVar Burton. I want to know.
He's awesome.
Where is this going?
Fan.
I want to know.
Okay, so LeVar Burton tweeted out, in order to avoid legal complications, I've gone down the rabbit hole searching through volumes of short stories in the public domain for appropriate content for families and have come up empty. And then Neil Gaiman, the author of American Gods, of a bunch of like
Sandman.
Yeah.
That's like a comic book that he does.
Very, very popular, prominent author.
Norse mythology.
Did he
Yeah, I think
do
was
the
the name of it.
Necronomicon? Something like that? I think he did.
I thought that was from the Evil Dead.
No, there's a book.
I mean, that is an actual book.
Yeah.
I know. I'm messing with you. But Neil Gaiman tweeted back at him, "You have my blanket permission for any of my stories, LeVar. It's all for you." And then basically, now we all get to watch whether LeVar Burton is going to start reading Neil Gaiman stories because he's wanting to do it. So honestly, I'm hoping that a lot of people want to reach out to him. And
a lot of authors. That would be freaking awesome.
and give him access and permission to use his stories because the guy did Reading Rainbow. Like that, okay, that's one of the things that I appreciate Mr. Rogers more now as an adult than I did as a child because I feel like we watched some, but it was more like I watched Sesame Street as a
Mm-hmm.
young kid.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but after I came home from school, Reading Rainbow was a thing. I would watch Reading Rainbow. And so I really appreciate LeVar Burton, and I really appreciate Neil Gaiman being like, do whatever you want to read, man. And it's just, okay, I'll say this. It's a trying time for everybody. And the Mr. Rogers quote that always sticks out to me whenever there's something tough is look for the helpers. And LeVar Burton is a helper. And it's just cool to see how things have changed because, okay, I was doing Creators Cove a lot before all of this happened, before it got like dangerous for me to go out and everybody shut down because
You were
Barvin,
going to like shows and stuff, with lots of people.
a lot of times, but I would feel uncomfortable in that type of setting at this point. But I was going out a lot. I was seeing a lot of live music. But I was around a lot of people. And so when they shut down all the bars and they shut down most of the music venues in this area, they've shut down a lot of things. But in the end, there are cool things developing from this, because yes, you can look at it is a trying time. It's a kind of a scary time because we're kind of on the beginning swing of this. We're on the up curve, but at the same time, you see people adapting and trying to find a way to connect with people. We were just talking to Josh about how I've had multiple video chat calls with Josh already this week because we're all locked down, but we don't want it to be like we don't see each other because of that. Yeah. And so I've talked to my cousin from New York. I talked to my cousin from Texas. I talked to we did not get a hold of Gabe on either one of these, I don't think. He's been in school. But I've been reaching out to family, and that's a good thing. And I've seen a lot of live streams of great musicians because they've lost
Mark
months. Rebier? Yeah, Mark Rebier. I've learned things that I will never unlearn because of Mark Rebier.
It is so good, though.
It's incredible. Seriously, check out Mark Rebier, Bonus Disco. It's so good, but not safe for work. Not like okay at home, fine, but
audio.
Like, put on your headphones. Like it's intense, but it's awesome. But people are finding ways to change what the traditional path was, so that they can still interact with people. And so I'm always looking for kind of how there's going to be pluses and minuses that stick around after this whole thing. And some of the pluses are people putting out content directly to the viewers. So LeVar Burton reading classic short stories seems like a win.
So one of the things I've seen is a lot of teachers, my wife's a teacher and my son's in third grade. So there's a lot of that kind of community on Facebook around that and them all being out of school. So a lot of teachers are doing reading stories live on Facebook and doing like live streams of that. Yeah. And the other day I was on YouTube and Clint McElroy was wearing like a wizard hat reading The Hobbit. And it was one of the best things ever.
If I would have known that was happening, I would have watched it.
Yeah. So it's like that's amazing. There's so many cool things like that where celebrities are going on and live streaming them reading children's books and things like that to continue providing some sort of entertainment and education and everything else while everything's more or less shut down from a physical perspective.
Yeah. No, and I mean, we have to just look at the community. Yeah. We're all like literally, this is the first time in my lifetime I've seen something that everybody on the planet is in this fight together. And people are finding ways to reach out to people when we can't physically be around each other.
Yeah, the other thing that's
crazy.
Been interesting is the restaurant and bar industry are getting hit pretty hard from having to close their doors. And so a lot of them are doing takeout and delivery. And so the coffee place by my house is doing delivery. So we bought a half gallon of like sweetened cold brew from them, and they came and like dropped it on our door with like a handwritten note.
We could shout them out. They're good. You're talking about Spatties?
Yeah, Spatties. So anyone in the Tampa area in Seminole Heights, Spatties is doing cold brew delivery. So if you want some good coffee during your quarantine, get at it.
They're good. It's delicious.
It is interesting. And that's the thing that I keep telling my kids and I tell my wife. I'm like, this whole scenario sucks.
Yeah.
But this is literally going to be talked about in our grandkids' history books.
Yes.
Which is kind of nuts if you think about it. Like, this is one of those things that will be talked about. You know, it's going to be a question on their freaking, history tests.
No, 100%.
In the future, which 100%. Is crazy to
Today,
me.
Trending on Twitter is that 3 million people filed for unemployment. We're talking about a global and potentially unifying. I'm going to say potentially because we always find a way to not unify when we could. But the whole world is in this together. And Mr. Rogers told us, when there's a time of trouble, look for the helpers. And that's what I'm trying to do. And Levar Burton is just trying to be uplifting. And that's why I saw that article. I was like, yes, he's still just trying to be uplifting. He's still that host from Reading Rainbow that I remember from being a kid.
Yeah. Speaking of looking for the helpers, would you ever think that a wild boar would be a helper? Well, in Italy, apparently, there was some wild boars that were helpers in the fact that they got rid of $17,000 worth of cocaine by snorting it.
Okay, I mean that's a version of a helper.
I saw you post that earlier, and that is one of the most horrifying mental images you can think of. A bunch of like giant wild boars that are hopped up on cocaine and rampaging. That is terrifying. That will destroy a small town.
So the article goes on to, it talks about like the drug area of that part of Italy and things like that. But the funny and great part of the story is that these drug dealers were bad guys. They're bad guys, but they were trying to hide their drugs. So they put them in jars. I mean, that's not a bad idea.
That's
and then they
good.
buried it. Well, that wasn't enough to keep the hogs out.
How did they get into the jar?
So apparently they dug up the jars and then broke them and then repeatedly came back every single day. And
so the hogs got addicted to cocaine.
The hogs the wild boar in Italy got addicted to cocaine. And that's not a great thing, but the story is it's just so funny. I mean, the fact that drug dealers lost money because of hogs, and that's part of the reason they got caught, is because their freaking wiretap was caught about them talking about these freaking hogs.
Like, stupid hogs ate all my coke. They're like, what'd you say? What did they eat?
Oh, it's just so. Gotta look for the helpers.
Yeah, I don't know. No, so the hogs.
Feed it to the hogs, right, Kirk?
Feed them to the hogs. Har, har, har.
Nobody would understand that reference, but there's a great sound clip.
Yeah, it's from like episode 10.
Oh, it's real early, but it's really good.
It's one of their favorite ones.
It definitely is. That and like pit skiing.
Which was Daniel making fun of me saying pit skiing.
Yeah. But no, that's wild. I mean, that makes me think of that bear. Have you heard that story about that bear? So, okay, some drug dealers lost some drugs on a river, and they floated up on the river, and there was a bear that they found that had eaten like multiple pounds of cocaine in like one sitting. This bear was not addicted to cocaine. He was like, we're one and done in this thing, and we're gonna live our best life. And that bear ate like pounds of cocaine. And the joke always is on Reddit or social media stuff. So I was like, for 7 minutes, that bear was the most apex predator on the planet because he was just coked up and losing his mind.
Oh, man.
It's insane.
So, Josh, you are in quarantine right now. And what is the reason that you're in quarantine again?
Yeah, so me and my family had a trip to Iceland booked, and we were scheduled to fly out when the COVID-19 pandemic was kind of at its very early stages. People were kind of talking about it and like, hey, maybe we should close some things down to stop the spread. But it was really early on. And on our flight to Iceland, we landed and me and my wife both had several texts saying, hey, are you guys going to be able to get back? We're like, I don't know what happened. So while we were flying, Trump announced his travel ban from international travelers coming in for discretionary reasons. Fortunately, that didn't apply to U.S. citizens, so we were fine to fly back. It was no issue there. But we pretty much timed it up as close to everything going as south as it has as
You
possible,
did.
where we didn't have
Because
to
literally
cancel our
the day
trip.
you flew back, Trump said, if you are an American citizen, you are abroad. If you don't want to stay abroad for several months, you should come home.
Yep. So
Yeah, we watched. That's the only one that we watched together.
I was like,
and,
I should text Josh, just make sure he's all right.
so
like, well, he's on his way home, so hopefully they don't like stop the flight mid-flight and be like, "Hey, go back."
yep. So I'll talk about the travel back first, and then I'll talk about the trip itself in general. But we just moved our flight up by one day and came back a day sooner, so we were there for plenty of time. But the flight back, instead of being direct to Orlando, like 8.5, 9 hour flight like we were supposed to, we had to stop in JFK, which New York has over half of the United States um, cases
yeah.
of COVID-19. And also, New York is flying a handful of planes to Florida every day, of letting New Yorkers come down here to party and do whatever they want in Florida and keep spreading it down
Number I
here.
saw was over 100.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that, but so we stopped in JFK. When we got off the plane, we had to fill out a form from the CDC. It was like, you have to fill this out or we're not going to let you off of the plane and into the United States. They had like our address, our name, phone number, email address, our passport
That
numbers.
is real weird.
Have we met with anyone that
say?
had symptoms? Have we met with anyone that has had the coronavirus? So it basically went through this questionnaire. It basically said you have to fill out this information for the CDC and for kind of like information and tracking purposes. And so we filled all that out, and then you get off of the airplane, and everything is backed up all the way up the gate, the actual gate that connects to the airplane. Everyone's waiting in line because the CDC have it blocked off, and basically you have to give them your paper, one per person, and they have to ask you a short questionnaire, and they scanned all of our foreheads to take our temperatures. And
Really?
and so they were wearing like the full face mask, like you see in like a zombie movie, like the full like clear plastic face mask that go from here to like from your forehead to your chin.
Like from ET?
Yeah.
Like from Outbreak.
So they were wearing these masks, and it was a little chaotic because people were trying to get to their other flights. And so we went through that before we could get through border control. But everyone in the airport, it was probably 60, 70% of people were wearing the face mask and everything. So it was kind of eerie and ominous. Despite knowing that it's not going to be life threatening to me or my family based on our age and no underlying health issues, but it's still eerie and ominous to see something impacting that amount of people that directly. So it was definitely an interesting experience for sure. But having gone to country in the Shenzhen area, as well as flying through JFK, we are on mandatory 14-day quarantine, despite what anything the state, city, county, anything else says. We're mandatory 14-day quarantine. But come to find out, it's looking like we're having a shelter in place and everything else for the state of Florida. So all that stuff probably got approved this afternoon if everything kind of went as planned. So it's interesting times.
No, it did. It did. Have you seen that yet?
No, I haven't seen anything since I texted you earlier.
It did get approved, like we talked about earlier.
Yep.
Yeah.
So otherwise, though, trip was amazing. Like the country of Iceland has less total citizens than the city of Tampa.
What? I didn't know that. I did not know that.
So it's pretty sparsely populated. So it, like when we were flying in, it was just completely black. There weren't lights everywhere. Like when you fly into a city in the US, you just see the lights everywhere. Like you can see the entire city because there's just lights everywhere. But there, you could see Reykjavik, and that's it. You would see a car driving just through the blackness, and you would just see the car's headlights driving. And it was just completely pitch black. It was wild to see. But since they're so sparsely populated and a lot of the stuff to do there is outdoor activities, like we kind of just did our thing and had very limited impact. We ate at restaurants a couple of times. One of the restaurants we went to had a really cool thing set up. They had a vegetarian buffet that's typically self-serve, but due to COVID-19, they were serving it to you. And also due to COVID-19, they had QR scanners on all the tables. So you would take your phone. They made you use hand sanitizer before you came in. And then when you went to your table, they said, hey, we're not going to give you menus. Scan this on your phone and it'll bring up the menu. So they don't have to sanitize menus.
so
You can't
smart.
sanitize a menu really. So we scanned those, brought up the menu on our phone, ordered from that. And then they served us the food from the buffet. And it was a vegetarian buffet. It was phenomenal. They had some sort of root vegetable that I asked what it was, and she's like, I don't even know what the word for it is in English, but it's kind of like it's a root vegetable. I was like, okay, sweet. Give me some of that. It was amazing. Some of the best sweet potatoes I've ever had. They had some feta cheese that was like insanely good. So it was one of those things where nothing sounded showy or looked showy, but when you ate it, you're like, this just tastes phenomenal. Like they seasoned this perfectly. There's just an extra layer of goodness on top of whatever you expected it to be. And I felt that way about a lot of Iceland's food was like, all right, I'm getting a cheeseburger. I'm going to expect it to taste like a cheeseburger. It's like, no, it's the best cheeseburger you've ever tasted in your life. And apparently Iceland
What was your favorite thing that you ate while you were there?
Cheeseburger, yeah. So they're known for their I take that back. There's two things. So
lamb sandwich.
Yeah, they're known for their cheeseburgers. That's like one of like the Icelandic foods. If you go there, you got to get hamburgers and cheeseburgers. But the other thing is they have a lot of lamb because they make like a bunch of wool sweaters. They have a lot of wool. They have a lot of lamb. They have a lot of dairy. So like their butter and yogurt and milk is all phenomenal. But they had smoked lamb, and one of their core deli meats. So like if you go to like a gas station and look at their sandwiches, they have like a ham and turkey sandwich and pepperoni sandwich, and then like a smoked lamb and bean salad sandwich. And I was like, all right, give me one of those smoked lamb and bean salad sandwiches. I had one. I was like, this is so good. And one of the things about Iceland is eating out there is insanely expensive. Like for the three of us, it was at least $70. Like we paid $35 for like a small pizza at one place. So it's really expensive to eat out. It's an island, so they import everything, and it's a tourist economy. So I think between those two things,
okay.
But
yeah, I get that.
So what we did was we ate out a couple times, and we're more strategic about like, hey, let's really eat out at the places that we really want to, and not just eat out all the time. So we went to grocery stores and bought groceries to make food like at our Airbnbs. And I saw a package of the smoked lamb, and I was like, oh yeah, smoked lamb sandwiches. So I bought 2 packages of the smoked lamb throughout our trip, and I ate probably 10 smoked lamb and cheese sandwiches.
So you got the equivalent of like Hormel smoked lamb sandwiches with like Wonder Bread.
Yes and no, but it's different because like they had Wonder Bread there. No, they didn't. No, they didn't have Wonder Bread there. I was confusing that when I went shopping when I got back to try and restock our pantry because we've been gone for so long. The only bread left was Wonder Bread, and I was like, no, I'm not getting that. But no, their bread there is like all like actual bread. Like they don't have just like a loaf of like Wonder Bread. It's like you have to get bread that has like grains and stuff in it. Like it's real food. And so even like their deli meats, it's like, okay, this is probably more like real food than just like weird canned whatever else we get whenever we go to the grocery store. So that was one of the things I noticed in the grocery stores that was pretty cool. But no, it was an awesome trip. The food was great. The outdoor stuff is insane. Like you drive like an hour in one direction and you're getting the black sand beach. You drive 30 minutes in another direction, you're getting a 150, 200 foot tall waterfall. You're getting tons of ice and snow and everything else. It's such a cool country, and the scenery is insane. There's just mountains everywhere. There's this amazing tunnel. So we were going to West Iceland on the back end of our trip, and Kim's like, we can go this way or we can go this way and go over the bridge. I was like, oh, I want to go over the bridge for sure. It's probably going to be awesome. So we start going that way. And then we get to the bridge and it's a tunnel. And so it's this massive tunnel.
How is a bridge a tunnel? So she thought it was a tunnel
on the map. It looked like a bridge.
She thought it was a bridge on the map.
But when we get there, because it goes across the water, so she's like, oh, it's a bridge because that's what we have in Florida. We don't have tunnels.
Oh,
when we get there,
I see.
It's a tunnel. and it's just carved into the rock. Like you're driving and you just see the rock wall next to you.
How freaked out was Kim?
Oh, she hated it the first time, but on the way back, it was more fun.
I knew it.
But
makes sense.
But it's 6 kilometers, and it goes way down under the water, and then it comes back up, and then you're driving, and you're like, oh, that was the boat we saw on the other side of the water, and we're on the other side of it now, and you drove underwater to it.
That's so crazy.
It's so
awesome.
Cool. So it's so
that is cool.
It's about as different as you can get from Florida. Especially going when everything's covered in ice and snow. Like there wasn't a time I was there that I was sure of my footing, that I wasn't going to slip or my foot was going to sink like a foot into snow. Like it was just covered in ice and snow. It was so different than anything I'd ever experienced. They drove through like whiteout blizzards, wind that was like trying to blow the car off of the road. Just everything was just so different and foreign, and it was phenomenal. So I highly recommend Iceland. The flights are cheap. The food's expensive. Go to grocery stores if you ever go to save cost there. But you could make a super cheap trip to Iceland if you get a good cost Airbnb, do outdoor stuff. Most of that stuff is free.
Smoked lamb sandwiches.
Go to the grocery store, stock up on stuff that looks good. You can still eat local food from the grocery store. And it was awesome. We did the Blue Lagoon as well, which is like the big touristy thing. So Kim had the best idea on this. We did our 8-hour flight there direct, and we had to stay awake so we could reset our clocks. So it was like 8 a.m. Iceland time, 4 a.m. Florida time.
Oy.
And we went to the Blue Lagoon, and it's daylight and like 30 degrees, and wind is blowing, and it's crazy cold. And we go to the Blue Lagoon, and you get in there, and it's so warm. It's like a bath, and it's like insanely blue. Like it doesn't make sense how blue.
So that's
it is.
like the hot spring thing that they have there that everyone Instagrams,
yes,
right?
It's like neon blue, like blue milk from Star Wars. Like it's neon blue. It's insane, but it's super cool. It's massive. That you can get drinks in there. They give you face masks. There's a sauna. It's super cool. It's a really cool experience. It is expensive, but it's worth going to because it's one of the like 25 wonders of the world. Like it's a very unique thing, and it's worth going to at least once.
It's experiential.
Yeah. But overall, the trip was amazing. Just furry horses. They also had furry horses, which are amazing. Everywhere.
Yeah, you told us about the furry horses, and you showed us pictures as well. When we had this virtual hangout the other day, you kind of gave us a slideshow of your trip, and it was great. I loved it.
The furry horses, we stayed on a horse farm. One of our Airbnbs was on a furry horse farm. So they were like right outside our door.
Okay, what are they called? They're not called furry horses.
They are. They're specifically for furry horses.
I don't know their scientific name.
What do they call them?
Horses fur.
I didn't like go to like a.
You didn't talk to anybody from Iceland.
I talked to like people at stores. That's what I'm saying. Like it was like most of the time you're just outside doing stuff. Like we weren't like hanging out.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. You showed us the picture of your Airbnb, and it was in the middle of nowhere.
One of our Airbnbs, they had to give us actual like physical directions, because if you put it on Google Maps, it wouldn't take you there because there's not roads to it.
Wow.
And they said they snowblowed everything up to the gate. Beyond that, it's mostly good. Like, okay.
It's mostly good.
And so they're right. Everything up to the gate.
Guy, you got this.
Everything up to the gate, they snowblowed. But then after the gate, it was literally like 4 foot deep of snow. And so driving the car through it was just sliding back and forth the whole time. Like it was sliding like a foot or two each way. And I was just turning the wheel like crazy, trying to keep it going straight. It was wild. It was such a cool experience because it felt like an adventure the whole time. Kim would have hated driving, but for me, I thought it was part of the experience and fun.
I don't know if I've ever been more jealous and so happy that I wasn't you at the same time, because I really want to go to have gone to Iceland, but at the same time, I do not want to have been quarantined for so long.
Yeah,
no, but I mean, luckily your job is very flexible on like you being able to work at home.
We're doing for my job, we're doing video chats in our morning meetings and afternoon meetings. We're doing a virtual happy hour tomorrow, so we're good.
A virtual happy hour. That's interesting.
That's a thing.
I'd like to hear more about that later.
That's what we did the other night.
That is what we did tonight. It was my birthday.
Yeah.
All right. So that brings us to the part where we talk about, hey guys, we're doing a promotion about the podcast Discovery Show. And we have a bunch of t-shirts that we are ready to give away. All you got to do is go to your Apple Podcasts app or Podchaser and leave us a rating and review and just put your shirt size at the end. And if you put your shirt size at the end, you will be entered into a drawing for a free t-shirt, a Podcast Discovery Show t-shirt. And I'm not going to lie, these things are nice. They're made from our friend Richie from Brands and Empires.
And it was our favorite shirt that I got 14 of when we were in Podcast Movement.
Yeah, when we went to Podcast Movement, that's why we told Richie, like, dude, we got to get a canvas shirt.
We were doing research.
Because we got our money's worth of shirts when we went to Podcast Movement.
I didn't get my money's worth. I got money back. Like, some, but not all the way. It was worth though. It was an amazing experience. And Josh was there for that. Like, still, when I think about the experience with Cal Fussman, it blows my mind a little bit. But I got multiple shirts that were Bella Canvas. And
Bella
that's
Canvas.
My favorite ones. Well, Sportique, obviously.
Yeah, we actually asked about that. But those were like literally, if we were to price those out, they were like $50 a piece for a t-shirt. It was like ridiculous.
Yeah, we couldn't do it.
Yeah, we couldn't do that. But Bella Canvas is a very nice t-shirt. It feels good.
100%.
It doesn't like shrink too bad when you wash it and stuff.
No, it feels comfortable.
It feels really comfortable.
It's a shirt. That's a shirt I like to wear. And that's what we wanted to do when we made PDS shirts. So all you have to do is let us know if you enjoyed the show.
And right at the end, leave us your shirt size just in one letter.
Okay, everybody. You've heard us talk about ridiculous shenanigans multiple times. We are so glad to have Josh back on the show.
So much fun.
I have not forgotten about him. I've seen him. He's my brother.
I haven't seen him, and I miss him. Josh, I miss you.
You hear that? You should be ashamed of yourself.
I miss you so much.
But the final discovery for the week, like usual, is the band of the week. And this time it's Adam Randall. This is a guy once all this is over, please go check out Woodwright Brewing. This is a place that I went down in Dunedin.
All right, y'all want to finish the podcast real quick?
Go. It's great. Dunedin is sick. There's a free parking garage. You go down there, you can wander to the oldest microbrewery in Tampa. Well, in Florida, I think is what they claim, called Dunedin Brewery. And then right down the road from that, literally walking distance, is Woodwright Brewing, which Adam told me was originally like carpenters. They were building custom wooden furniture for everybody.
I've spent
and then
probably 40 of those.
The matriarch of the family was like, you know what? I'm going to start trying to make some beer. And this is all based on what Adam told me. I haven't fact-checked this, just so you know. But she started making beer. And then the beer took off more than the carpentry. But they have amazing beer in there. And every single thing is in there is like custom-made carpentry. It's all custom woodwork. It's amazing.
Sounds
Seriously,
awesome.
The beer is sick. If you like German-style beer that tastes like beer but good beer,
sounds gross.
Check it out. No,
it's kidding. I don't like beer at all.
Well, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to Josh.
Sorry, Kurt.
Like, it's good. The Hefeweizens are... Yes, a lager. That's a beer-flavored beer.
No thanks.
They have great stuff. They have great music. And I talked to Adam down there, and we talked about his journey and everything like that. If you want to find out more about him, I have a Creators Cove episode about him. And he's a very kind of personal, he writes songs about his experience, because he has 4 kids at this point. He has a wife, he has a job, and then he has been making music for 20 years. So it's that kind of that just exploring life through music. And so this song is one of his newest singles. It is a song by Adam Randall, and it's called Hi. Thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next week. And thanks so much, Josh, for jumping on for Kirk's birthday stream.
I'm so happy.
We get broke. piece by piece. Then we fall asleep in a stranger's bed. We get down 4 nights a week. Then we cry it out and we tell our truth. There's no higher high than feeling alive. But when I'm low, I gotta treat it like a cold and just stay home and pour the tea and try again. Most of my kids are nearly on their own, so I'm waking up in time to see them off. And the meetings and the coffee help. So I take the time and I spend my change. There's no higher high than feeling alive. But when I'm low, I try and treat it like a cold and just stay home and make the tea and try again. So I let it lay, and I don't look away, 'cause I got no other choice. If I stick around, the night turns to day, 'cause it's got no other choice. There's no higher high than feeling alive. But when you're low, try and treat it like a cold and just stay home and pour the tea and try again.
This was a podcast from the Podfix Network. You can check out more shows like it at podfixnetwork.com.